After spending the day with my sisters, something felt different, lighter. Not completely, but enough to notice. But the unease about Josh hadn't gone anywhere. It lingered in the back of my mind like a question I couldn't stop asking. That night, I closed my eyes and entered the soul archive. The space greeted me in silence. Near the center, something new had formed. A crystal, dense and gray. Earth. It looked heavy, solid, its surface uneven, misshapen, but strangely smooth, like it had been worn down over time. It didn't pulse like the others. It just existed. Stable. Grounded. I hadn't even cleansed a soul for it. So I can learn without it, I murmured. The thought barely had time to settle. My phone buzzed. I opened my eyes. New request. Echo detected. Suffocation victim. Location, VIP room, Mary's Dance Club. I accepted immediately. The club was wrong. Places like this were supposed to be loud, music, bodies, movement. But when I stepped inside, silence. Complete. The empty dance floor stretched out in front of me. Lights dim, air stale. It felt like walking into something abandoned, like the life had been drained out of it. I pushed the feeling down and made my way to the VIP section. The closer I got, the heavier the air became. Then I felt it. Panic. Desperation. A suffocating, clawing terror that pressed against my chest before I even opened the door. Yeah, I muttered. This one's bad. I pushed the door open. The room was still, but the echo wasn't. It coiled in the center, tight, invisible, oppressive, like something wrapped around itself. Waiting. I stepped forward and raised my hands. Echo cleanse. The world snapped. I was inside it. Dark. Close. Too close. Hands tight around my throat. I couldn't breathe. Pressure built instantly, crushing, unrelenting. My lungs burned as I tried to pull in air that wouldn't come. My instincts screamed to fight, to tear at it, to break it, but I forced myself to focus. This wasn't like the others. The soul wasn't the problem. I could feel it. Weak, fading, buried. Something else was wrapped around it. Constriction, like a serpent tightening with every second. If I pushed with force, I'd crush it. If I absorbed it, I'd take it in. So don't do either. My breath hitched. Separated. I shifted my mana. Not wide. Not heavy. Thin. Precise. Like a blade. A current of air, so fine it barely existed. I guided it carefully, sliding it between the soul, and the corruption wrapped around it. There was resistance. Then, a gap. I pushed deeper. Slow. Controlled. Peeling it away. Not tearing. Not burning. Just separating. The pressure faltered. The grip around my throat loosened. Air. Cold, sharp air flooded into my lungs. I gasped. Again and again. The corruption unraveled, slipping away from the soul piece by piece until it finally broke apart completely. The echo dissolved. Reality slammed back in. I dropped to my knees, coughing hard as sweat dripped into my eyes. Damn. The black veins crept up my arms, curling toward my chest. Not as bad as the combustion echo, but still heavy. Still there. That was a strong one. I closed my eyes again and slipped back into the archive. The orb was already moving. Faster than before. Orbiting the golden crystal in a tight, shifting pattern. I stepped closer and touched it. Light flared. Wind. A new crystal formed beside the others. Smooth. Round. But inside, currents moved. Endless motion, twisting and flowing like a contained storm. I stared at it, breathing slowly. Fire. Water. Earth. Now wind. Each one different. Each one learned. Not given. Not granted. Understood. I looked at my hands, then back at the crystals. I thought this power came from cleansing them. My voice was quiet. But maybe... I exhaled slowly. I don't need them to suffer to grow. I opened my eyes as the bus rolled to a stop. The ride home passed in a blur. I had something I needed to test. Once inside my apartment, I dropped onto the couch and closed my eyes, focusing inward. The soul archive formed around me. Quiet. Still. I walked straight to the gray crystal. Earth. Incomplete. What am I missing? I muttered. I studied it. Earth is containment. Anchoring. I raised my hand, try to recreate the feeling like when I held the echo under the rubble. I compressed my mana. Try to shape it. Bind it. Nothing. No response. No reaction. That's not it. I frowned and looked around the archive. Everything felt off. Then I noticed it. The orb. It had stopped. Completely. No rotation. No movement. Just hovering in silence. A bad feeling crept in. I stepped closer and reached out. The moment my fingers touched it, light exploded. I was back, under the rubble. The weight hit instantly. Crushing. Absolute. Concrete pressed down from every direction, forcing the air from my lungs. My bones screamed under the pressure. Dust filled my throat. I could hear them. The child crying. The mother trying to soothe her. The faint, panicked breaths of people who didn't know if they were going to live. And in my hands, the echo. Thrashing. Fighting. Getting worse. I tried to move. I couldn't. I tried to breathe. Barely. The pressure increased. More debris shifted above me with a grinding crack. I felt something in my body give. Pain flared. Sharp. Immediate. I can't remove it. My thoughts were slipping. I can't escape. The weight wasn't just on my body. It was everywhere. There was no space. No room. No way out. Then it hit me. I stopped fighting. Stopped trying to push back. Stopped trying to move. Instead, I pulled inward. Compressed my mana. Condensed it. Not outward. Not forceful. Just dense. Heavy. Unmoving. It settled around me. Layer by layer. Until I wasn't resisting the pressure. I was matching it. The crushing weight pressed down. And I held. My presence hardened. Like stone. Like something that had always been there. Something that didn't bend. Didn't shift. Didn't break. I can't escape. My voice was quiet. Steady. So I'll hold it. The pressure continued. Unrelenting. If I didn't move, didn't crack, didn't give, then I'll be the thing that doesn't break. Everything stilled. The world shattered. I was back in the archive, breathing hard. The gray crystal stood before me. Complete. No longer rough. No longer unstable. Now, solid. Smooth. Immovable. Absolute. I stepped forward slowly and placed my hand against its surface. It was cool. Heavy. Grounded. I turned, looking at the others. The jagged, volatile heat of thermal. The calm, flowing blue of stability. The shifting currents of wind. And now, earth. For elements. For principles. All different. All understood. A small smile crept across my face. This is getting interesting. As I turned away, my hand felt heavier than before. Not pain, not injury. Just weight. Like something had changed the way my body understood gravity. I was about to leave the soul archive when I felt a subtle shift. I stopped. Slowly, I turned back. The 4 elemental crystals had changed. They vanished for a brief moment, then reappeared, now orbiting the large golden crystal at the center of the archive. But something was wrong. The rotation wasn't stable. It was uneven, strained, like the system was trying to force a pattern that didn't fully exist. Empty pressure pockets formed in the orbit, gaps where something should have been, but wasn't. I narrow my eyes. On the outer edge of the archive, a ripple passed through the space. A brief absence of light. Not darkness, not shadow. More like reality itself, refusing to render something for an instant. I stared at it for a long moment. What is that? Before I could focus further, I decided to step back. As I turned away, a second anomaly appeared. A warm pulse. It flared for an instant, then collapsed. Like something attempting to stabilize the system, but failing to anchor itself into place. I paused. The archive slowly settled back into its usual stillness. But it didn't feel the same anymore. I leaned back slightly, the weight of the discovery settling in. Something's missing. Over the next few days, nothing abnormal happened. I accepted a few missions, cleansed echoes. Everything was routine. But I kept searching for Josh. He was gone, a ghost in the system. On the third day, Cynthia messaged me. She had to report. We met at a diner, the smell of cheap coffee heavy in the air. She slid a thick folder across the table. Blu-ray, I muttered, scanning the file. Why would an adventure team need a White Mage for a rift? Cynthia tapped the page. He wasn't a White Mage, Brian. He was a containment mage. He used inventory skills to store items. My stomach dropped. He forged his license, she added. That was it. The missing puzzle piece. That's why his cleansing process had felt so cold, so off. He wasn't cleansing the echoes. He was archiving them. What about his mental state? I asked. The team said he was fine. Normal. I paused. We had been in orientation together. He had been quiet, sure, but sane. What changed? Cynthia frowned. Maybe the trapped echoes. Maybe they aren't just sitting in his inventory. We stopped. The pieces clicked into place, a terrifying picture forming in our minds. Clatter. The sound of the diner TV cut through the silence. The news anchor's voice was urgent. A grainy surveillance photo flashed on the screen. Josh Williams. Primary suspect. The report listed the missing people. Every single one had been cleansed by Josh. I looked at Cynthia, my heart hammering. He isn't just storing them, I whispered. The echoes are influencing him. He's acting out their trauma, their revenge. Cynthia went pale. It makes sense. We sat there, paralyzed, watching the news feed roll. The hunter had become the hunted, and he was unraveling fast.